Now on extra credit, we're going to focus on ratios and proportions. Since this is our first time doing it, I want you to understand the rules for this extra credit quiz first. First of all, you have 4 problems. You must show your work, you got to answer all of them correctly, and honor code is in effect. What this essentially means is show every step that you're going to do, make sure you answer every single one, and yes, they have to be the correct answer. 4 for 4, you got to get 4 for 4. And then the honor code. Okay, I prefer that parents do this with students and proctor it, sit down and just watch them do it and see how they do, see how they work through their struggles. Don't give them any help. All right. Now, you can use your resources. You can use your notes. That is not an issue. All right. I encourage that because then you know where to find things. It's like reading a manual. If you know how to read a manual, you probably will do a good job using your chainsaw. You don't read your manual, and you're probably going to get injured. Now, the first 2 questions, are your basic reduction questions, and the next 2 are practical. First one, c squared, parentheses, 3 to the second power, c, parentheses to the second power. Remember your rules of exponents, all right? Be careful with that one. 72 over 8 to the third times d to the 6th over 12 times a squared d to the 8th. Remember the rules of exponents when it comes to division and multiplication for both of these. Now over here are 2 practical, very practical ratios, and the reason why these are important is because if you look at this one term in a school year is 9 weeks. Historically, by data, if a student is absent 6 days, they will drop 1 letter grade. They actually do. And for other students, it's maybe less. For other students, it's more. So things have to happen on this one. And so when you make this a ratio, just understand this is something that I track. And I know when people are going to run into issues. It's not because I'm smart, it's just because people smarter than me have said, hey, this is where it kind of gets tough for folks. And to look out when you start seeing folks do this. Because then the excuses will fly and everything else. If you're hitting over 6 days and 9 weeks of absences, whether you're on a team or an illness, whatever it is, then work degrades. And you have to do things like learn how to read your book, learn how to learn yourself, that's why I do YouTube videos, so you can catch things. All right. So that's a really good problem. So reduce that. Now, when you reduce these things, be careful. There's always a good rule, and that is always reduce to the lesser unit. It's much easier, avoids fractions and decimals, which can lead to mistakes sometimes. Now, this one is very practical here in the Pikes Peak range. My students, my last character class, had to learn to do land navigation, had to do surveys, had to put a foundation on a building in, and had to go ahead and, for hunting, we did a lot of this work for hunting. They had to know there's pace count. So things like this in the metric system, particularly using maps and surveying, is something that has to be done. Although we still use imperial units, inches, feet, yards, for our tax databases here in El Paso County. But you're going to see these, and this is definitely something that you probably don't really use that other people actually do use. So it's more practical. Now remember, there are math facts associated with each of these. When I say a math fact, it simply means how many days in a week, for example. How many centimeters in a meter? How many meters in a kilometer? So gather your math facts together before you attack these problems, and then approach it in terms of the lesser units. They are much easier. All right, we'll see you on the high ground.